My name is Todd Sachse, and founder and CEO of Sachse Construction, and I just am so excited to have everybody here. We have over 100 people here, architects, retailers, designers, all these people that have been involved in the retail industry for a long time, and we're just here to share. You know, we build projects, but more importantly, we build relationships. And so do all of you. So the reason why we do this is to expand and deepen those relationships so we can learn from each other, you know, and just kind of keep this thing going, because retail is not dead, right? It's not dead. It is here to stay, right? But we have a great agenda today. We have some really, really cool, great people that are joining us today. We have Joshua, who's going to be here to talk later on. A company called Google's part of here. He's going to share some really cool stuff that's going on there.
So Joshua's been coming to this event for over 4 years, and now he's actually speaking in this event, right? So we're going to learn more about Pier 57 and what him and his team at Google are doing. It's going to be awesome. And Susan Hennike, there she is. Obviously, Carhartt is very near and dear to our hearts. Why? Because it was founded in the 1800s in where? Detroit. It's such a special story how they've been able to stay relevant, number one. And number two, I mean, they're so important to our construction industry, so really excited to have her.
And then we have our famous, not infamous, famous artist from Detroit, El Cappy, who's doing some really cool stuff with some Nike shoes. And because Nike is also one of our fabulous clients, we love to be able to honor what they do.
Raise your hand if you're only here for the sneakers. No, it's okay. It's okay. So with that, let me first introduce Eric El Cappy Lowry. So turn around and say hello to Eric. So Eric's our artist in residence today, Detroit-based artist, but also a sneaker designer. He's worked with brands like Stella McCartney, Shinola, NFL teams like the Cowboys, the Bills, and of course our favorite, Detroit Lions. So we're super proud to partner with Eric and obviously our partner Nike. I think it's going to be great. So go back there and say hello. Watch him do some of his work. It's really spectacular what he's doing.
I want to introduce Susan Hennike. She's the Chief Brand Officer of Carhartt, which, yes, is a dear brand to us. In her role, she oversees and collaborates with product, brand, and strategy teams to deliver the ultimate product and brand experience for Carhartt's consumers. She's got a long history in this industry. Prior to joining Carhartt in 2022, new kid on the block, okay, right? Susan worked at Bombas, where she led the next evolution of apparel's brand multi-category strategy and vision as Chief Product Officer. Prior to that, she spent 12 years at Hanes Brands, serving in many roles, including President of Champion North America. During her tenure at Champion, she led the athletic brand to double-digit growth, oversaw the development of its direct-to-consumer platform, and drove all creative contact and storytelling for that brand. She has worked for many other apparel brands throughout her career, including Victoria's Secret, one of our clients, Nike. By the way, it's Hennike, right? Oh, you got that? Right. But we're going to call Hennike just for the moment, okay? Right? And Adidas International. Susan had her Bachelor's of Arts from Miami of Ohio. It's okay, it wasn't in Michigan, but we still love her. Grew up in Hudson, Ohio. In her career moves, she lived in Portland, Oregon, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and currently lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, with her husband and 2 dogs. We're a dog lover. So please welcome Susan. So we're going to show a short video. So roll the video.
See these people right here? They are building America's future. But they cannot do it alone. Because right now, this country needs workers. Over 3 million jobs are available in the skilled trades alone. So grab your tools and help us build the next frontier. We need the brave, the builders, and the dreamers. If that's you, put on your Carhartt and join us.
So I was saying to Susan earlier when I watched that video that it was such a great connection to what we do at Sachse Construction, because we are so focused on the skilled trades. And we have called what we call the Sachse Social Mission. And our mission in the Sachse Social Mission is about the youth of Detroit, and to try to bring the youth of Detroit into skilled trades and to teach them life skills. So the whole connection between what Carhartt is and the skilled trades and their mission and their history, which Susan's going to talk a lot about, and what we are very, very passionate, committed to, which is the skilled trades and the growth of that industry. So it's a great connection, not just because of Detroit. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you. I was making sure this worked. Thank you. I see that video and it just, I don't know, it warms my heart because these people are so important to all of us in whatever, capacity you work. It is just, it's who we're all about, who we serve.
So let's talk about you and let's talk about Carhartt. So you've worked with some great brands. I listed them, which are all some great brands too, but now you're at Carhartt. But let's talk about your journey. So tell us about your journey throughout your career so we can kind of get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I have had a chance to work for some phenomenal brands. Obviously, I was, grew up in the active apparel industry. I'm, pretty senior now. I've had over 25 years of experience. And, you work for brands like Adidas, or as they say, Adidas, or Nike, and Champion globally. I mean, these are great brands. You learn all the things, what makes a brand so special, some of the mistakes that brands can make and how you can learn from them, and who that core consumer is that you're going after. And I think the best part about being with Carhartt and why I joined them, which is only about 9 months ago, is they are truly focused in on the consumer, and the brand itself has a really strong point of differentiation, and that is just like the most durable workwear for the hardest workers out there. And that was what really intrigued me to come to this brand. Really loved the path that got me here, but really happy to be at Carhartt now.
So we talk about Carhartt. We'd love to hear the Carhartt story. Oh. What is the Carhartt story? I think that everybody in this room has heard of Carhartt. It's just such a common American name. But I don't think very many people know the story. So why don't you share a little bit about the story?
It seems so crazy only being here 9 months to tell the story. And actually, if you go down to like Florida, there's a lot of people that don't know Carhartt. So we still have an opportunity. Obviously, I'm a marketer to really continue to increase our brand awareness. And I think the story itself is part of what I'm, looking to tell and, bring that story to life as we've been introduced to so many new consumers. So we are a family-owned business, and we have now, my CEO is the 4th generation Carhartt, Mark Valade, and his children, so the 5th generation Carhartts, are also in the business right now, learning and growing. So Hamilton Carhartt in 1889 started the business out of Detroit, and it was a fun story. He saw railroad workers at that time, that was the mode of transportation. He saw them wearing really bibs, overalls at the time, that were really shabby. They didn't hold up. They were actually made by inmates. And he said, this is an opportunity. So he just got 2 sewing machines and, started building a bib or a coverall for railroad workers. The fun part of the story is he failed. So Mark will say, we're proud, because what he ended up doing was in 1889, we didn't have Google, so he had to figure out how to get market research and talk to the consumer. And he ended up talking to railroad workers, and he got some great information, went back to the drawing boards, and built the first bib and coverall. And it held up to standards that we still look for today and when we build workwear for our consumers. So again, listening to your consumer, market research, it's all how it builds a brand. And it's lasted for 135 years.
That's pretty amazing. There's not very many companies in this country that have lasted 135 years.
Yeah.
So it's a great story, and And yes, we are proud that it's, of course, a Detroit
Yeah.
brand. It's right down the street from our office, which we love. So community, I know that's a big part of your mission and your vision. So how is, Carhartt's sustainability, the future, the community? Why don't you share kind of what that philosophy is and how that ties into your brand?
Yeah. Well, our consumer is actually really, really into community as well. And so the Lade family or the Carhartt family, they really put a lot of time and effort into the own communities where they have. We have 2 actual manufacturing in Tennessee and Kentucky. So we do a lot with local communities. We do a ton with the Detroit community. It's very important for us. And outside of the skilled trades, which I'll talk about, Gretchen Sivalade, who just passed right after the holidays, she actually did a jazz festival, which is still running today, because she felt love for music and she didn't want it to see it die. And so she ended up bringing it back to life. So, they are very much involved in the community. But in regards to Carhartt, we really do sponsor skilled trades. We're part of Skills USA, ensuring that, kids in grade school, high school, college, that, if they want to get into the skilled trades, how can we help them? We're part of Future Farmers of America, which is a great organization. And we recently signed a contract with the National Parks Foundation. So really leaning into conservation, getting the younger generation, outdoors, learning about the different skilled trades and the different opportunities that, they have to grow into some, different occupations that they may not be aware of.
So that's great, and a very selfish, and I say selfish, for this group here.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, because we were talking about it at our roundtable, and I shared that construction is the only industry in the last 30 years where productivity has gone down. And as you said in your video, there's 3 million skilled trade jobs available. So all the help, and thank you, Carhartt, and all that you guys do to help promote that. It's going to take a generation or 2, but we're going to need to do that. So I think that's phenomenal. So that's great. So where's Carhartt's future as its vision and its brand, and kind of as the brand, leader, ambassador, chief? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So the skilled trades, obviously, we just talked about. But when you start thinking about work, work is changing. It's so much. And we're talking about the evolution of work. And we were just saying at the round table that, there's a lot of urban farming happening now. And, we work very closely with a retailer called Tractor Supply, and they sold 6 million chicks, little chicks, just in the matter of a month. And so people are farming; they're doing different work than they have before, or they, are entering into this different work. And we are evolving with them. And so, if we keep the core value of really hardworking people, and we look at that as our core consumer, then we have to look at the work that they're doing and evolve, and look at it overall. The other part is that women in the skilled trades is a really big focus for us right now. I was telling a story about a woman who's in the wind turbine technician, and that is a field that has just under 3% women in that field. And she's breaking ground by getting women into this, into being a wind turbine technician, and we're there to support them. So we really believe there's a clear opportunity to build apparel for women in the skilled trades, and not just pink it and shrink it, as they like to say, but really build product for her that is based off of really strong durability. So we're listening to our consumers, we're evolving with the work that they do, and we're just building Carhartt into the future.
That's so true. So it's actually we do every year called the Sachse Construction Academy, which Carhartt has been supportive in the past. So we bring 500 Detroit high school juniors and seniors to a facility in Detroit, and we bring in a bunch of our skilled trade companies, electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, carpenters, painters, tile setters, and these 500 kids go around, they spend the day working and doing hands-on, and they experience, they're hammering nails, they're painting, they're laying brick, they're laying block, they're bending conduit, and you're talking about women. The women love it, and we've had some really great success stories where women have been introduced to that, and then went into the skilled trades from there. So
it's
great,
huge opportunity for us.
It's 50% of the population, and we need them. That's great. So kind of tying into that. So how 135 years. How does and how is Carhartt going to continue to remain relevant in its brand on all levels?
Yeah. You know, first of all, I do think looking back into the history and the whole story that I told you about, you know, being consumer focused. And so we really want to continue to listen to the consumer. And we also believe that authenticity will help lead us forward. We have gotten a lot of excitement on the street from streetwear and lifestyle, and we love that, but we don't necessarily seek it out. And I think the reason is again, our point of differentiation is to build really, really durable product. Actually, that's our sustainability story, that these jackets can last generations and generations instead of going into landfills. They're that durable. And so when consumers, you know, decide that it's also great to wear on the street or to wear snowboarding, you know, we love that, but we're remaining very, very authentic to who we are. And if it ends up being and showcasing how our product is incredibly versatile to do lots of other things, but authentic to the work of skilled trades, then we're just ecstatic. It just helps our brand awareness, you know, helps build it, but truly staying authentic to who we are is very important.
So the authentic is great because it's so true. You look at a Carhartt jacket of today, you know, look at one from 20 years ago, though the style may have changed a little bit, you can tell it's a Carhartt, okay? But how has the brand itself evolved, whether it be intentionally or naturally?
Yeah. So, you know, it evolved overall, even going back to 1889 and fast forward to World War I, we actually did a lot of uniforms. We did some suits for the jungle in World War II. We did coveralls for, like, think of Rosie the Riveter. So women that were going into the factories at the time that there were men overseas fighting back in the day, we were doing coveralls. So that, you know, keeping relevant, those are just stories from the past that we look for to make sure that we keep moving forward. And, you know, again, that's the work that's evolving, you know, the times, the economic times, and things that are being built, you know, like the wind turbines. Like, that's important that we keep thinking about that overall, and, you know, talk about it. But I will tell you, our product lasts forever. And so the sustainability story, people love a broken in Carhartt jacket. In fact, Jamie, I don't know where he is. I was meeting with him at the round table, and he found a old Carhartt jacket, you know, that had been beat in. And he said, "This is the perfect jacket." So we just, you know, that is the love of Carhartt, and just seeing that patch on product, just, you know, evolves us forward and keeps us relevant.
Great, that's great. Okay, so we have a lot of architects and designers and engineers and contractors and owners reps here and landlords. So let's talk about stores.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'll do
what's
my
the
best.
future? What's that?
I'll do my best.
Do your best. I know you're in the branding side, but talk about stores. What's the vision for the future for Carhartt stores, and what have you done previously over the last whatever X number of years, and what do you see the future for stores?
Yeah. So stores are not dead. They are definitely, you know, alive and running. I only say that I'll do my best because I do all the marketing for the stores. We do all the POS signing and all that other stuff. But I don't oversee stores. But we opened our first store in 2011. So we're fairly new to direct to consumer. Between our website and our stores. And the first store was in Wicker Park in Chicago. And I'll just tell a funny story. When I was at Champion for 12 years, we opened a store right next to Carhartt in Wicker Park because we thought Carhartt was so cool. And so now here I am. So that was our first store, and we now have 36 stores throughout the U.S. A lot of people keep coming up to me and say, "Oh, I just saw your store in Soho." So I just want to explain, we have a license called Carhartt Work in Progress, or WIP or WIP. A lot of people talk about it. That is a license for us, and they are also expanding their stores as well, mainly in Europe and Asia. But we are both growing. We are both seeing our direct-to-consumer as well as our wholesale business very, very strong. So 36 stores today, and there is plans for about 9 in the next fiscal year that we're looking at different locations, again, for Carhartt, us, within U.S. So
I'm sure you can't, like, spill the beans, but is there a certain kind of type of geography that you feel is right for Carhartt? You know, like what kind of locations? Is it urban? Is it suburban? Can you even share any of those inside baseball, inside Carhartt secrets?
Well, it's not so much urban. So it is going to be in more suburban areas, and we're looking at the Southwest. As we look at it, I mean, it takes a lot of research and a lot of data, and we have to take into consideration we have a very large wholesale business. And so from Dick's Sporting Goods to Academy all the way to Tractor Supply. And so we have to take that into consideration as well because they're great partners. So we do a lot of research on, our direct-to-consumer, where are they shopping, what geography. But right now we are underpenetrated in the Southwest. And so really some great opportunity, maybe a couple stores in Texas that we might be looking at. Yeah.
So, questions. Let's open this up to questions about what's going on at Carhartt. Anything for Susan? Thoughts? We got somebody here in the middle there. I don't know.
So, as a New Yorker and a Brooklynite,
Yeah.
I as a Brooklynite, I know of Carhartt more as like a hipster thing with the the workwear phenomenon. And does that factor into the thinking at all as a fashion item rather than as because the core of the brand is authentic workwear and that gives you validity, but how does the fashion aspect of it factor in?
Yeah. So, when I joined the company 9 months ago, Mark and I talked about, what was happening. And, even shopping in Soho this morning, it is all about workwear and cargo and all that. What we always do is we make sure that when we're building the product, because everybody's got, actually we're blessed because so many people knock us off. So we have chore coats and we're the original chore coat, and really durable t-shirts. We just make sure that when we're building the product, it stands up to the durability. We have very, very high standards for quality and durability. So everything we build in there, it has to have that. Now, if, we call that consumer a status seeker and not in any bad way, we don't want to target because they continually move on. Trends come and go all the time. But the skilled trades worker always has to have the right gear. And I don't know if you know, but we make a lot of FR product and PPE products, so flame resistant, all that product. And so we need to always be there for them. And if, again, that consumer adopts us, it's wonderful. But we don't necessarily target them. But so we do always think about it. I love walking up and down the streets in Manhattan and seeing our beanie with the Carhartt. But I think that the authenticity and the long history has made us attracted to them. Just a quick story, WIP came about because in the 80s, it was a big lifestyle trend. And so, Carhartt WIP, we started the contract in 1989. But there's some people, I was just at a store, and they actually say, oh, I don't want WIP, I want the true Carhartt. I want the stuff made for the workers. So they weren't in the skilled trades, but that's what they ended up wanting. So we believe it's wonderful to be able to coexist in both worlds.
My name's Carol Dooney, and I work with Howard Hughes, and we work with women in construction through their mentoring programs. And I just want to thank you for thinking about these women that we're trying to romanticize and make exciting, the potential in being in this, and not just making everything in gray, everything in black, and everything in a male small size. Because it matters to these women. Yeah. It really does. And to know this is coming.
We're doing
call it pink and shrink it.
Yeah, don't pink and shrink it. Actually, we even said that in the act of it. It's so important. We've been doing a lot of research on the female consumer in the trades, and it's so important: fit, comfort, versatility, and we want to be ahead of it. It is a 3-year strategy for us, and we're building a full team around it so that we can make sure and getting a lot of friends at Carhartt in. Thank you.
Hi, I'm going to stand. Hi, I'm Sonia from
Pleasure.
TJ Hale. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Like you, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I had never been to the Midwest before I joined my company. We've been a mill worker for 70 years, but that's not the story. The story I'm going to tell you is about Carhartt. We use you guys as our workwear. So all our workwear is Carhartt that we use.
Thank you.
And our 2 boxes are from Milwaukee. So, we're in Wisconsin. The story is this guy, Peter, he was a cabinet maker. He retired and everything. And then the last day, he left his toolbox, and he left his overalls and his jacket and everything. And he left it with this, thank you for all of this. And you said, why did you leave your stuff here, your toolbox? Because, well, the company paid for it. And, you know, it's lasted for so long. And he was with us for about 35 years. And he never talked about sustainability. And that's where I say, when you do not have to replace it, why do you? So kudos to you guys. You know, I don't own any of that. I'm going to change. I'm going to get a beanie right away.
It's very stylish.
I'm telling you.
I have a jacket
and
on.
very trendy.
My 19-year-old has one. She's teaching me how to dress, not like a mommy. But anyway, kudos to you for, you know, like
Thank
really
you.
being sustainable that way.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
so many wonderful Carhartt stories like that. And I'm going to do a plug. We just started Reworked, which is resale on our website too, because we know our product lasts forever. So let's not put it in the landfill. Let's figure out how to resell it.
Sorry. Hi, Susan. It sounds like you guys are fairly new to the brick and mortar world on your own here. Yeah. So I'd love to hear a little bit how you see the brand and how it carries through to the stores, because we always say that that's so important, that the stores are really extension of that brand. So how do you see that sort of transitioning into your brick and mortar stores?
Yeah. So direct to consumer, whether it be our websites or our own stores, and we are still 25% direct to consumer, and most of it is wholesale. We're three-pronged. I just want to actually say that we're business to business. So when you get your uniforms, you may go through a Sanmar, Cintas, or a distributor, and then we have wholesale, and then we have direct to consumer. So to your question, thank you. Direct to consumer is my flagship. It's the one place, and it didn't matter whatever company I have been with and brands that I have represented over the past, that is a flagship. That's the one place where you can tell your brand story. So when we start thinking about, the stores and the website, we just want that consistent theme of, incredible durability, made to outlast anything that you do. And I believe that in our stores, that's the greatest way to showcase it. Now, our stores get a very diverse consumer, because no matter, even in suburban, because of the trend of Carhartt and workwear right now, we're getting, a lot of consumers. So that is a great place for us to educate too. Let them know about, we have been around since 1889, and we've got a great standing history. So, yeah, no matter how big or small direct-to-consumer is, it's the one place you can tell your brand story, authentically to you.
Hi. You work for a timeless company that I highly respect. I work in construction, and these are the clothes that all the contractors wear.
Yeah.
I have a personal question. Is the fabric, do you have a patent for that specific specific fabric? Because it's,
yeah.
Very
We actually don't. We actually don't have the canvas. I assume you're talking about like the very thick canvas.
that jacket.
Yes. Well, yes. No, we actually don't have the patent for that. I don't know why, but it is kind of
inspiration.
Yeah.
Jeans, right?
I will tell you, the factories that we work with, and we actually do some of our own manufacturing. So we have some manufacturing in the U.S. We have some manufacturing our own in Mexico as well, and then we do source out. But the standards that we put that fabric through, we build everything from the fiber up to ensure that it's incredibly durable, and we evolve it overall. But no, we don't have the patent. Too bad, huh?
No, I mean, you're doing well, I guess. I associate Carhartt to men rather than women. I would launch more the women's product. And I have a question for you. Don't you think that women on site are the most fearing ones?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that is why we want to give them the product. I was in a store, it was a Murdoch's, it was an agriculture store, and I was in there, and a woman was wearing, it's a smaller women's brand called Dovetail, and she found out we were with the executive team from Carhartt, and she stopped me, and she told me all the reasons that she was wearing Dovetail, a women's workwear brand, and they're only $10 million, or tiny, instead of Carhartt. And we took all that information back with us, and I'm overseeing product, and yeah, they're fierce. They speak their mind, and that's what I love about the women in the trades, and they have specific needs that they want met. They're fierce.
We need a Carhartt outfit.
We're coming. We're getting it. We're working on it.
We have a question over here to my left.
4 ugly buzz letters going on that I hear right now in retail and clothing are the PFAS.
PFAS, yeah.
So how does that play into Carhartt and all of the sustainability, et cetera? And I'm not as familiar with your product.
Sure.
My son and his friends all love it. He uses it in his welding class and or his after-school club. But I'm not familiar with what materials you do use. It was a great segue to the proprietary canvas.
Yeah. So we are heavily cotton, which is quite different from the industry that I worked for before. So we are, heavily working in cotton and sustainable cotton. So we're working in that. What she's talking about, and I'm not going to be the most educated on this, but there is a topical solution, or there is some inherent yarns that are within certain states within the U.S. will no longer be allowed. And since we're a brand and we service all states, we are having to resource, redevelop our fabrics so that they don't have this chemical, which we call PFAS. And it's also in the makeup industry and in a lot of other industries. So I think by 2025, it has to be out of all products for New York State, California. And so we are working right now to ensure that none of our products do. We really only have a few because it's a lot more prevalent on the wicking and things like that. So when we're so cotton heavy base, we don't have it. But for the apparel industry, it has really turned everybody a little upside down, and we are rushing very quickly to get that chemical out of anything. Again, we were very fortunate we didn't have much of it in our product.
Anybody else? Oh, we got some right here.
Hi, Toby
Hi.
Harris from IDI New York. I have a questions regarding your collaborations with kind of like Marnie, for example. How that change your brand positioning and vice versa? Kind of like how Carhartt changed the landscape for another brand?
So that Marnie collaboration was actually with Whip. So that is Carhartt Whip. That's a licensee. They're headquartered over in Europe. Now, I do oversee the licensee. So we don't actually do those negotiations. So when it's a licensee, they obviously do their own sales. We get a royalty. We are very much connected to them, but they are more that streetwear. They're have a heavy presence in Europe and Asia. So that collaboration wasn't actually done by us, the Carhartt brands, done by our licensee. But I will tell you, collaborations are something I've worked on for years. It was obviously big with Nike, big with Champion. And my thought on collaborations is when you're looking to partner with another brand, what can that brand give you that you don't already have in your own portfolio? Or what consumer could you have an outreach to when you have another brand? And when you're talking about a Marnie and a Carhartt Whip, it's probably just getting a consumer into the street lifestyle versus the high end. And obviously I know there's a lot of high end brands here today. And so that's kind of what that collaboration was about. But Carhartt as a brand, we don't do as many collaborations, but we're looking at what does it mean for us, going forward within the skilled trades, maybe for new consumers and stuff. But that one specifically was done by Carhartt Whip, or work in progress.
I'm going to sneak one in here if I
Yeah,
can.
please.
Are you concerned between these collaborations or streetwear that your brand image changes and these people behind us say, wait a second, that's not us. We don't want to be associated with that because that's got where your foundation is. Is that something that you think about and talk about?
Keeps me up every night. I mean, you guys know there's a lot going on with brands right now. And the fine line that I am always trying to seek, and I talk about it and I lean into expertise, is not alienating your core consumer, but looking forward, getting more relevant, and attracting a younger consumer. I think there's a pretty big case study out right now happening with a beer company. And so...
Just saying.
It is something that we always, just keep in mind. And that's why we do so much consumer research and try to be as authentic as possible. We appreciate every single consumer that comes and shops Carhartt, wherever they shop Carhartt. But we want to remain very, very true to the skilled trades. And then, always we feel like we can remain really durable, having that enduring value and stick to hardworking people. Hopefully we can continue to build that fine line or walk it.
Hi, I'm Maureen Farrell.
Hi.
I went to college in Detroit, so once you are connected to Detroit, I think you have a soft spot for Detroit. And Detroit needs a lot of love. So I applaud your program, the fact that you are based in Detroit, but I applaud your program of teaching these people skills, and especially for the women, since there was a big hit on the automotive industry, and a lot of these people with single mothers, et cetera, all these people were working all these different shifts, and that all kind of went away. So the fact that you're trying to help develop that, I think that's wonderful. And the other thing is I applaud the fact that your company, it's kind of gone against the trend of the past couple of decades where manufacturers of clothing and electronics, for example, are making products that are designed to expire quickly and not hold up, where you might have had a toaster 30 years ago that still works. If you bought one 10 years ago, it probably doesn't work anymore. And I wondered how that works in obviously your company is sustaining because of it, but that's a whole different approach to sales.
Yeah. It is. And we think that, doing programs like Rework, we also have a program out of our Kentucky facility. If you've got a hole, a tear, a rip, and if you just send it to us, we'll give you a postage paid. We will fix it for you. We will repair it for you. If we can't, we'll give you a new item. We just believe that, again, it's a family company. We're not publicly traded, and they want to keep it that way. And so we just believe that doing the right thing for the consumer, like repairing their products or keeping product out of the landfill, making it sustainable, passing it down to generations, over sales, and I can say that from my heart, knowing the family, that is more important than just getting another sale. So it is really Gretchen Villade, the granddaughter, she is working solely on sustainability and how we get better at it and how we keep doing it. So again, it just introduces us to more consumers, or the new generation. They want us to be very transparent about what we're doing, and so that just gives us. We're saying, listen, we want this to be passed down generation to generation. Like, we'll repair it or resell it, whatever you want us to do. So we just keep looking at it that way. And I think for me, I'm really blessed to be part of a company that puts that at the forefront.
I mean, obviously 135 years, whatever you're doing is working, right? And we have a philosophy that you actually lived and that we live, but you guys are doing it for a lot longer than we have, is that money follows, it doesn't lead, right?
Point.
So what you're doing is saying we're going to believe in what we do, and everything else you'll lead with that, right? And everything else will follow. So it's obviously been working, and keep that up. So I just wanted to share that because I think it's so true,
100%.
so right on. We got any other questions out there? Okay.
Yeah.
Are you into footwear? That was the question.
Yes, we have a very robust footwear business. We do use a licensee for it as well, and we make really great hard toe footwear for workers that go out there, and then we have some soft toe footwear as well. But yeah, we are in footwear. We don't necessarily do sneakers and things like that, but we look at footwear again, for people, out in the field and out on the farm or out in the trades. Head to toe.
Head to toe. Head to steel toe.
Yep.
Right? That could be head there, head to steel toe. Any other questions? Importantly, how about a gigantic thank you for Susan, who came here to share their story. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you, what you do, and we appreciate your company. And I was blessed to let you know that to meet Gretchen a couple times, and she was the true matriarch of that company and really lived and breathed who you are and what you stand for. And sad to see her go, but she really carried the torch. And thank you all for being and coming and being a part of this.